Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to start our webinar this afternoon. Welcome again to our webinar on strategic workforce planning. My name is Leanne. I will be your moderator this afternoon. For those who have signed up for this session, you will receive a copy of our presentation slides and a link to a recording of this session. Now, before we go on, I'd like to start off with the usual housekeeping rules. Now, you will see the attendee interface panel, which is on the right-hand side of your screen. You can simply expand and collapse this panel using the orange arrow button on the top. You will also notice that you are muted throughout this session, but you can send your questions to us by simply typing into the chat box at the bottom of this panel. Now, you can also make use of this chat panel to respond to our poll questions or to any of our questions from the presenters this afternoon. All right, so thank you for taking the time to join us this afternoon. We would like to offer you a complimentary job study which will demonstrate the power of the products and solutions that we speak so often about in our own seminars and how they can benefit your organization. Now, you can participate in this study in 3 simple steps. First, select a critical job function or role in your organization. Then select up to 10 job incumbents who will participate in this survey. Now, so using this study, Profiles Asia will be able to identify what is required for success in any given job or position in your organization, especially those which are related to the areas of learning, reasoning, communication, problem solving, behaviors, and occupational interests. Now, we will establish a proprietary success profile, okay, against which we will graphically and quantifiably compare your top and bottom performers in your organization. And this has very important implications for when it comes to selection, development, management, succession planning, and it will make your life so much more easier when it comes to doing your own strategic workforce planning in your business. Now, a little bit about today's presenter. Mr. Heintjie Santos is a country director of Profiles Asia, and we are very happy that he has agreed to join us for this afternoon's webinar. So please join us in welcoming Mr. Santos to start the webinar for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that introduction, Leanne, and good afternoon to everyone who had taken the time to join us for today's session. We are here for a common topic and passion as drivers of talent, productivity, and important business results for our organization or businesses. And we have so many definitions that we hear regarding strategic workforce planning. But here at Profiles, we define strategic workforce planning as a process that ensures that your businesses has the right people in the right job at the right time to achieve the expected business result. Now, this discipline helps our organization understand their current state, forecast talent gaps, and take the necessary steps to close those gaps. It is a core business process, as you would all agree, that is often handled by the HR department. But it's so important to the success of a business that business leaders, our counterparts, should approach it proactively and take ownership of it. Brazil and Associate research found that although 92% of companies have some level of workforce planning, only 21% of companies take a strategic and long-term approach. And we've all heard the saying that failing to plan is planning to fail. The traditional strategic planning process often focuses heavily on large capital expenditures, the technology, and marketing investment to implement those business strategy. But the traditional process focuses too little on the organization and the human resources necessary for sound execution. What is even scarier is that 75% of companies do not have access to talent data, as according to Taleo, to make that more informed business decision. Now, it is almost as if the business takes for granted that it already has a people with necessary capabilities. But the truth is that it can take several months, if not years, to get the right people in the right jobs. And this can seriously hinder the execution of even the most well thought out strategy. So welcome to today's session, the Executive's Guide to Strategic Workforce Planning. But before I proceed with this really exciting topic, which is one of the most requested and popular topic, not only here in Singapore, but around the globe where Profiles International is being represented. And I would like to briefly give everyone an overview of who we are, of what we do, and how we do it in the next subsequent slides. For those of you who have not came across with Profiles International yet, and I would just like to mention that there's a lot of you, and we are very thankful for all of you who managed to join us for today. And some of you is not their first time to be here in the same session, and some of you are some familiar clients already for profiles. We're very glad that you could be able to join us for today's session. So, Profiles International, we help our clients create a high performance workforce and support them throughout the full employee life cycle. And we help them identify the best people and place them in the right jobs, then develop them to their fullest potential. We do this through our comprehensive suite of integrated talent management solutions and employee assessment. And what makes us really proud and unique on what we do best is our ability to provide you with actionable data and a state of the art system used for pre screening, job matching, onboarding, and all the way to the succession planning, strategic workforce management, and planning. So, we have been in the business for more than 20 years with a representation in over 125 countries worldwide. And we have more than 50 million users, over 45,000 clients that we have served. And we have materials available in 33 languages. And our assessments are locally validated for accuracy and reliability in the represented country where we are. Now, we have a pleasure to work with a very diverse base of marquee customers and clients ranging from across different industries, from financial service industry, the energy, logistics, chemical, healthcare to business services. And they range from Fortune 500 global companies down to a small, medium firm, even startup companies with 10 people. And we are very proud to have a very high client retention rate, which means to say that those companies, 8 out of 10 of organizations who use our solutions from 20 years ago, are still with us today. And with this, we are proud to work of our work that we do, and are proud of the results we achieve. And there are numerous case studies that are available to substantiate, the kind of things that we talk about in our webinar, just like this. And I highly encourage everyone to seek out the case studies in our website for those particular industries, so you could be able to have a sense of the process that we do here at Profiles and how we help clients drive business results in their talent management. Now, in our 20 years in the business, we find that there are only two types of problems companies face today. And it's either system or people problems. Well, Profiles International, we focus on the people problems. We all know what system problems are, right? So if you have some system problems, then those can be fixed with good people, but it's not the other way around. Well, to make it short, we specialize in our expert in solving the most pressing people related issues in the organization. So I would like to share with you, these are some of the common issues that we found most of our clients face. And as we go along this webinar, I would like this to be really engaging for each and every one of us, whether you're in the office or anywhere or taking a break, or you're at home. And I would like to start by asking you all to please kindly just drop us a note via the chat box, as my colleague Leanne mentioned to you, and let us know one issue you see here, which is keeping you, your department, your unit, or the whole company awake at night, that if it can be resolved, has the positive impact in your role and in your organization. And I would like to give you that time at this point. So just utilize those chat boxes and just give us a sense.
Okay, and the responses are coming in fast and quick. I think we have some people who indicated customer service is a challenge. But we have even more people who seem to think that succession planning and leadership development will be an issue. So, what can we tell them about those, Mr. Santos?
Yeah, thank you very much. The response are coming in very quickly, and there's a lot, and we could see some common patterns and deviation coming in from our audiences today, and which is very likely very similar to the past webinar session that we have asked our audiences to identify some of the common and pressing issues that they have in their organization. And a lot of those, as you mentioned, there's one which there's quite a few retention of top performers, selecting the right people, and succession planning. And these are the three very common trends that I can see in this webinar as we been conducting it. So, moving right along to our session, we have polled our expert and asked them to define a simple and straightforward, and I tell you, it's a straightforward strategic workforce management process. And this is based on our Profiles Research Institute. As you can see here in this screen, we have been gathering, and all throughout the year, we're organizational researchers just would like to know what drives performance in an organization in a very objective way based on real research from our clients. And what they came out with is based on this, and I'm going to be sharing with you on the outset. And these are the six: establish where your business is going, understand where the labor market is going, understand your future talent demands, and the fourth, and I'm going to be discussing a bit more in focus today, is to assess your current talent inventory, and then identifying your talent gaps and strategies to close them. And lastly, would be implement your strategies and continues to refine those. Now, the first step in the strategic workforce planning process is to have a clear understanding of your business strategy. At the end of the day, your workforce is there to implement the strategy and achieve the expected business results. Now, there are a couple of elements of your business strategy that will have the greatest impact on your talent strategy. And they include some of this, which is first is the area of your business that you want to grow, areas of your business that you want to maintain but make more profitable, and ultimately the areas of your business that you want to divest or exit with. Uh, Now, know what does this changing strategy mean for your business? Now, this is a crucial question that must be understood at the executive level and the business unit level, and so as the frontline operational level. Why? Is because strategic planning fails, or any strategic change fails when the people implementing the change don't know what they need to do differently in order to support a new strategy. And this disconnect creates confusion, conflict, stress, and put even the best people in a position to fail. Now, make sure that you have thought through the operational details of your strategy, and and that you have sufficient facts to support the necessary to make a good decision. Now, next is know how far and how fast you can reasonably move. It takes time, money, and thought to design to and build technology infrastructure, production facilities and distribution capacity. Similarly, it takes time to source and deploy and train talent. Now, this is even more true when your workforce requires special skills or credentials, or when your jobs are located in a talent scarce or highly competitive region or countries such as Singapore, where we're in. Well, the bottom line is that you need to know your business strategy and the impact of those strategies before you can create meaningful workforce plan. Now, the next step in the process is understand where the labor market is going. Now, scanning the market helps you identify talent, supply, and its limitation. Now, understand the labor market for the jobs necessary to drive your strategy will help you to gain a better understanding of the length of time it will take to fill a job, the salary you should expect to pay for the job, and potential challenges to fulfilling the jobs. Now, you need to consider some of the factors that I will be sharing with you, such as the macroeconomic forecast. With in a vibrant, growing economy, usually it increases demand for talent, and it raises the cost of employment. Well, conversely, a challenging economy often increases the supply and the affordability of even the very best talent. And there are some numerous publications you can use, which is readily made available in the market, such as the report coming from the Ministry of Manpower. They publish statistics and trends based on locally collected information. So just to get you a good heads up. And then next thing is demographic trends. The age of the available workforce can be an indicator of the capability and availability of workers in an area. So think about the proliferation of technology and software for automating our work processes. Do you have system in place to keep this group up into the task to cope up with this challenging landscape? Now, these are a group of people who are most have been in the company longer, but may pose more resistance to technology adoption to streamline work processes. Another thing you need to consider could be the regulatory changes. Think about the regulatory changes too. It's keep abreast of the latest changes introduced by the government, which will have impact in your planning. Like a recent client of ours who are in for-profit education institution, the sector that regulates their courses and programs and provides funding support, introduced a mandatory certification that they must complete, that all their educators must complete a certain training and certification in the next few years, and in order to retain the benefits and certification as a program partner for that particular industry. So next thing is the talent movement trends within your industry. Scan those. Check who's moving, where are they moving, and why. And this can be driven by many external factors such as better job security, better pay, or the opportunity to do the most interesting work. And the most famous now would be the most recent one. Whether is it the happiness indicator that will drive the next phase of growth for Singapore, or would it be the GDP, so to speak? Now, the third step in the process is understand your future talent demand. Business strategy drives organizational and job design. Once you have translated your business strategy into operational requirements, you must design the organization and the jobs necessary to implement the strategy. Now, if you contrast this with your organization and job as they stand right now, you can identify the jobs technically that you will need to create or jobs you will need to phase out and the optimal timing of your transition. Now, I'd like you to focus on what really matters to avoid this term paralysis by analysis. As with most forecasting efforts, well, identifying talent demands can be part art and it's a part science. We need to make certain assumptions when we develop our business strategies. And the further ahead we plan, the more certain those assumptions become. Now, rather than getting bogged down to all the details, we highly recommend focusing first on the critical roles and the critical employee segments in your business. Now, who are those? Well, the critical roles are those jobs that are mission critical to your future business strategy. If you don't have a solid plan for filling these roles with capable people, the business strategy simply won't come to life. Now, for example, a new cardiac ward in a hospital needs cardiologists, and that's a critical, role. And as an example for acute care nurses in order to function. Now, in the business development area, for example, if your sales and consultants are the critical job roles, then you really would like to retain most, especially your top sales performers. When we talk about the critical employee segments, they can include mature workers, those visible minorities, members of Gen Y, the veterans, and others. They can be strategically important to a certain extent to some organization that need to fulfill requirements for certain types of government contracts or grants. Now, moving right along, the fourth and arguably one of the most important topic for today's session is assess your current talent pools. Once you understand the future demand, the amount of change needed, and the optimal timing of that change, you should take inventory of your current talent pool. And this will eventually help you determine how to transition people into this new role. It will also give you some, insights into who won't fit into an organization and, help you create an exit plan. So this is the fourth step in the process. You need to assess your current talent pool. Now, but this is where we get a lot of questions. A lot of our clients said they know that they need to do this, but however they fall short on how to really execute this plan. Now, a couple of questions is how do you identify your bench strengths? How to conduct those talent audits, and ultimately where do we start? Before I move into this topic, let me just share with you a couple of those statistics and research with regards to productivity. Frank Schmidt and John Hunter, the experts in productivity and organizational psychology, undertook a 85 years of research, which is reported in Harvard Business Review. And they came about to the and they studied all the 85 years of research in terms of productivity and what drives performance in an organization. And by the way, this is a very heavily technical report. You know, if you'd like to have one, I just drop us a note and I will be glad to send you this details. It's a heavily technical report. And I'm paraphrasing as we go along that what they found that for every business in every organization, there will always not all jobs in every business in every organization in every country. Okay, not all will are created equal. Okay, not all will be performing to the highest level. They will all fall in the same standard distribution of people. Some of them will fall under the superior performers, the average, and the marginal performers. Um, a lot of them will fall under 68% based on the statistics will fall under the 68%, which are the average performers, and both the top and bottom performers are both equally 16% in difference. Now, why does this matter to us in terms of percentage of mean and output? Technically, if you just zoom in to a skilled job, the difference between an average and a poor performer, I'm reading from the middle, is 32%. And that same goes for the difference between the poor and the superior performers is also 32%. Now, what's even scarier is for management, professional, and sales level position, that becomes exponentially higher. If you just go down the bottom of this slide, says, you know, the difference between the poor and superior performers in a management and professional position is astronomically a 184% difference in productivity. Now, the implication of this is unless all your people are superior performers, you are losing money unnecessarily. Now, every time you move performance of an employee from an average to superior performers, you would have a dramatic and measurable impact and results. Now, I would like to pose a question to every one of you, and please, have you ever hired or promoted someone who ended up as a disappointment? And I would like you to utilize again the chat box and just give me a simple yes or no. Yeah. Okay, great. So a lot of you have mentioned yes. There's 85% of you who have participated. It says yes. And some of you, I'm sure, even though you don't answer, it's we have shared the same experiences. Yes. But what if I tweak in the question and put it this way? Have you ever made a conscious decision to hire a non-performer? Now, of course, the answer would be no. So, how then so many poor performers get hired or promoted? Now, this question is $1 million question. But however, I would like to share with you that the traditional way of we are promoting or hiring a person to a job is via interview. But did you know that an interview have only 14% success rate in identifying superior performers? And these are conventional unstructured interview that we do, and that's what you do every time you hire someone. You say, I predict that Susan will be one of my best performers. Would you feel confident making such prediction on the basis of interview alone, where the statistics suggest that you'd get a 1 in 6 hit rate in terms of hiring superior performers. Now, as I mentioned, I would like this to be really engaging. Now I'm going to share with you how to increase this threefold. Now, any one of you in the audience, please take out a piece of coin, okay? Come on, you can take out a piece of coin, and I would like you to place it in your thumb, okay? Now you have it. Now, what you do is the next time you hire or promote someone, simply flip the coin in the air and say, heads he gets a job, tails he doesn't. You'll get it right 50% of the time, which is 3 times more effective than using the old fashioned unstructured interview. I'm sure there's some of you who's getting this smile out in their face right now, but seriously, you need more information to make effective prediction of superior performance when you place people into their jobs. Now, this chart shows the efficiency of a variety of methods you can use in the selection process. It indicates that people selected on the basis of typical interview are good hires only 14% of the time. It's a predictable probability of hiring success. Now, if you include reference check, personality test, which is quite a number of you are pretty much knowledgeable already, it goes up to just 38%. If you include abilities and occupational interests as part of those batteries, it goes as high as 66%. And lastly is if you utilize the job matching and job fit approach, it increases the chances for you to get a 75% hiring success up to 75%. So you need to know the total person now in order to increase your hiring success. Now, I would like to compare people like this. People are like icebergs. There is more beneath the surface than the above, and the real side of people are those things at the bottom which you can't see. We're not saying that the 10% you see at the surface level, whenever you are hiring or promoting somebody, is not a good information, but they are basically very limited information. They are just those education, experiences, and skills. But the essence, 90% of the total person you can't see because they are at the bottom of this submerged, which can't be uncovered during the traditional ways that we are making decision for hiring and promotion. Now, as based on the research, again, this is would put it into analogy why as to what is the correlation between using all those resources that we have in terms of effectively predicting job on the job success. The higher it is, a cup full, if you will, is a full correlation, and the lower it gets, you know, they will just tell you in a graphical format the correlation between those resources that we use in predicting performance. So as you can see here, the interest at the top left corner is 0.10 in correlation predicting job success, and the two last at the very bottom is 0.38 and 0.53 for cognitive and behaviors. Now, if you put all these pieces together, this becomes the I just mentioned the cornerstone of performance. It's incumbent upon using all those resources we can to make the best hiring or promotion decision. So you have to consistently utilize all these components, which is from checking the past, which is based on the skill fit, reviewing the present, which is the company fit, and lastly, predicting the superior performance, which is the job fit. Now, I go back to that question, how to identify your bench strength or where do you start? Now, there's three key things that you need to know. You have to start with your top performers. And you need to know first is get the result that matters, okay, from these top performers. And next is know their potentials. After you know their potentials, you have to know their characteristics. So these are the three key things in order for you to start and identify or building your bench strength. Now, The first up is how to get the result. You have to understand that in building a success profile, you need to start with what it matters to the business, the critical business results that your top performers are getting. So, in this is the first step in the process, and in identifying objective measures, you could do so. Let's say if they are in a sales position, sales per month, per quarter, or per annum. If they are, and also you might want to include the average profit margin per sale. And if they are in a call center industry, as an example, the number of calls per hour handled. If they're in the manufacturing, this units manufactured per hour, and of course, we could always include the supervisor and manager's rating. So as you can see, this is a very objective measures, and in setting a tier of from to differentiate your top, average, and marginal performers. Now, the second thing is you need to know their potentials. Now, important thing to remember is that every success is different from one company to the other. What makes you successful in 5 years ago or in one company will not necessarily make you successful in another company or in the present company where you are. Now, there are three key things we need to ask is in identify the potential. Well, can the person do the job? How will they do the job? And are they motivated to do the job? Now, if you could be able to identify and use such tool, okay, to answer these three questions and then use that, I would like to share with you one tool that could be able to do this very accurately, which is one of our flagship product, which is the ProfileXT. Okay, the ProfileXT collects the sort of information that measures the total person you need to have before you put anyone into any job, and it does this in a very efficient manner. The prospective person simply completes an online questionnaire that consists of a series of questions specifically designed to assess and analyze the attributes of your top performers in a specific job. Now, um, the first thing that it measures is can that person deal with the mental demands of their position. Now, this is one of the 20 aspects of a person that you can assess to get a better picture of that total person. We are not measuring here what you've heard called the IQ or intelligence quotient, but we are measuring something much more useful in the context of predicting a person's likely job performance. Now, are they comfortable with the demands of the environment they work in? So, having determined that someone has learning index appropriate to the position, the next thing you would like to do is that identify the potential in terms of how will they work and how will they execute their job. Behavioral traits help define who we are by influencing our behaviors. So as our strengths and the combination of our behavioral traits vary, so do our behaviors. So the profile actually assesses some of the traits which have been shown to be important in the work setting. And finally, the greater the degree of similarity between a person's interests and the interests of those who have demonstrated success in a job, the more likely it is that there will be a successful match. So this means that the person will be more satisfied, remain in the job longer, and be motivated to perform the job better. And the result of our studies clearly support this all three components in terms of best job fit, a job which is used in job screening and placement strategy. Now, I would like to highlight one of to quote some of the report in Harvard Business Review. Research proved that people perform at superior level when they were matched better to their job. Now, think about those top performers working under you. They fit their jobs, and if they don't, they couldn't sustain their level of performance. And these are the people that can deal with the mental demands of their position and are comfortable with the demands of the environment they work in, and they love their job and are motivated to do it. Now, the third component in identifying the superior success profile is to know their characteristic. And what I'm sharing with you here is the job match pattern that we have at Profiles, which is implemented in Profile XT. uh, yeah, based on the thinking, behavioral, and occupational interest. The shaded areas indicate the job match pattern aggregated from your top and bottom performers, and the job match pattern show the requirements for the job in your company and in every position that you have identified based on your top performers. Now, this is an example of a good match. The dark areas indicate the job match pattern, and the yellow boxes shows the candidate score in the assessment, okay, relative to the success pattern identified from the top performers. Now, and you could easily identify a single job match number, as you can see here, and it's relatively very easy. Now, what's a questionable job match? As an example of which is, as you can see here, the yellow boxes shows the candidate score, which is there's a lot of them here, and the farther they are from the performance pattern, the more likely that they will face challenges in the position as compared to the success profile. Now, you could also easily identify the percentage match for every area in the report, as you can see here. And I think one of the unique features and aspect on this is it can detect. It has a distortion scale, which can detect how candidate responded answered the assessment. So, having done this, we can show you graphically and quantifiably to what degree your current employees or candidates for employment match that standard. So, that is essentially a 1,000 foot overview of sharing with you what the Profile XT can do, which you could be able to use to identify the results, potential, and characteristics, and eventually create a success patterns for a critical job in your organization. And the more patterns that you have, the more likely that you could be able to select the people most likely to succeed in a job, could accelerate onboarding, identify and lead your high potentials, and enable an easier and better strategic workforce planning. Now, that is the process that we go through. And so you could be able to identify, and then you could be able to answer these questions of how well the worker fit the new job, and how well the worker have the skills to perform the new job, and how is the talent currently moving in your organization. Then you could be able to identify your talent gaps and strategies to close them. Now, you typically have four options as you seek to fill this role. So, as we call it in four B's, in identifying, in strategies to close the talent gaps. First of which is the build, developing your internal talents. It helps you build a cohesive culture and sends a strong signal to your people that you are committed to them. And it also mitigates risk because the employees, and the employee knows you, and the transition can be relatively quick. Now, the second B is bounce. Redeploy talent from obsolete or redundant jobs, as well as people who don't fit well into the jobs that they may be qualified to fill. And this can also mean bouncing the employee from the organization altogether. And the third one is to buy, recruit outside talents. And this can be expensive, but slow and risky. Recruiters are often, involved, and the process may be long due to the due diligence it takes, and the more time it consumes, and it's still difficult to predict whether the outside hire will be successful in your organization. And the last thing would be the borrow. And this borrow is, it's a procurement contingent strategy, or what you call the contract labor. This is increasingly popular for new ventures because it is highly flexible and you can try before you buy. Yeah, so which one is best for you? It's for you to decide based on these four strategies. Now, the last thing into the strategic workforce planning process is implementing your strategies. Now, you have to remember process is the keyword here. strategic workforce planning process is not a one-time event. Like other businesses, such as business processes such as total quality management or Six Sigma, strategic workforce planning requires a continuous improvement mindset. And by standardizing our approach to a very important and challenging business problem, we reduce the errors and better understand the factors to drive success. So this could ultimately reduce costs and improve effectiveness. Now, I will leave you up with the three lessons that will help your strategic workforce efforts to success. First, you need to secure top level executive sponsorship. And this is very important. Although the name strategic workforce planning is bound to get the attention of the HR department, its scope far exceeds the mandate of most HR department and even the senior level HR executives. So HR can facilitate the process, but the business and functional leaders need to be intimately involved to ensure that their needs are met. And if they lose confidence in the process, they will ultimately resist it. So secure top level executive sponsorship. And next up is don't attempt to swallow the entire elephant at once. Okay? As we mentioned, it is a process that reaches broadly within an organization and it requires a continuous mindset. And it's best to focus on the critical roles or most significant pain points first and build positive momentum through quick wins and small victories. Use the focus projects, to learn how the process will work in your organization before reaching out to a more broadlier audiences. And finally, measure metrics that matters. Inspect what you expect, starting with a few key metrics to set goals and measure progress towards them. Start simple and stay the course. This discipline will help you make informed decisions that maximize the benefit to your business. So now I have shared with you a lot of information, but our main intent and aim is to help you focus on things that is important to your business. It is critical to implementation. In knowing and building your bench strength, you have to start with your best people, with your top performers, know what objective measures and results that they produce, and then know their potentials of what would make them successful in the job, and finally know what are their shared characteristics, know what makes them who they are, and what makes them successful, which has implication to selection, development, and succession planning and strategic workforce management. So, to summarize this 6 steps in strategic workforce planning process, first thing is you need to establish where your business is going. 2, understand your labor market. 3, understand your future current demands. 4, build your bench strength, assess your current talent inventory so you could be able to identify your talent gaps and strategies and ultimately implement and refine those strategies as you go along on a yearly basis. Okay, so with that said, if there, I hope that this was a very interesting session for everyone. So if ever anything that we said today has piqued your interest, I highly encourage you to please do drop us a note or drop me a note or take advantage of the offer that we are giving to you, like my colleague Leanne has mentioned earlier, which she's going to repeat again about the critical job study. And I really hope that this was a meaningful session to you and hope to see you again next time. So I'll hand you over back to Miss Leanne.
Thank you, Mr. Santos. Thank you so much for your wonderful presentation. Now, again, for those who have joined us this afternoon, we'd like you to take advantage of our critical job study that was mentioned earlier. So remember, here's how you can do so. Okay, first, identify a critical job function or role within your organization. Next, select up to 10 job incumbents that will participate in this study. Now, with this information, we will be able to identify what is required for success in any given job or position within your organization, especially in the areas of learning, reasoning, communication, problem solving, behaviors, and occupational interests. Now, and in this survey or a study, we will be able to graphically and quantifiably compare your top and bottom performers in your organization. This has tremendous implication when it comes to selection, development, management, succession planning, and will make your life a lot easier when it comes to your annual strategic workforce planning. Okay, so if you'd like to take advantage of this survey, please respond to this poll by typing a simple yes in the chat box, and we will be in touch with you in the next few days with more information and details. Let's wait a few minutes for all of us to respond. Now, in the interest of time, we are keeping this webinar within the 45 minutes. We've received some questions along the way.